Who is we?
You mind if I join in?
Hey, no! You okay?
Shit.
All right, Sistas fans, time to talk about the almost season 3 cliffhanger as well as the opening scene of season 4, and that's Andi having a nightmare about Gary popping out of the bathroom in the hotel room, implying that there was a possible threesome between her and Robin and Gary that she didn't even remember. But then all of a sudden Gary reappears and says, "Hey, can I join in?" So it's just one of those things where Tyler left us on a cliffhanger and the show was only gone for 2 weeks. But thankfully, the Fatima and Hayden scene was the actual cliffhanger, because trust and believe, the Gary coming out of the bathroom thing would have been such a weak finale, considering that if you remember, that's exactly how season 2 ended. You know, with Jasmine having the gun, Gary comes out of the bathroom, gets shot a couple times and falls over. And in this particular instance, he comes out of the bathroom for a threesome. But then we go over to season 4 and Andi just wakes up and she wants to get the hell out of the hotel room. Now, yeah, looking back, I thought that was a weak scene, but only in the sense that I don't think it would have been a strong enough scene to end the finale on. Hence why I believe that's why Tyler Perry decided to put his eggs in the Fatima basket and have her stand off with Hayden being the final scene, which I do feel was the right choice. Now let's talk about the dream sequence in itself and the fact that this really does relate back to how Andi and Karen are truly alike. And to be completely honest, I do feel like sometimes a person can, run a joke or a punchline into the ground. And I've praised moments like this, like in the Oval when Priscilla daydreamed about shooting the First Lady, and then we turned out it was like a daydream or whatever. We basically saw what was happening in her mind. I think the same thing should have been done at least once in earlier Sistas episodes with the Karen and Aaron scenes, like after season 1 finale when Bean was there to kill Karen and Zach got stabbed and then Karen shot him. It's one of those things where, remember that Aaron would say, "You were crying and you were afraid and you were calling out Zach's name in your sleep. Why don't you call him?" I think we should have had some moments where we saw what was going on in Karen's mind. Even if it was like black and white or distorted images of what happened at the end of season 1. I think that would be brilliant. Tyler Perry does the repetitive dialogue thing all the time. And really, I'm focusing on the earlier seasons of Sistas, 2 and 3 to be exact. I don't think it would have been too much of an issue to have just a look inside of Karen's brain. That's one thing a lot of people don't take into account. Not to say that I'm trying to excuse her behavior, but I'm really trying to look into her inner psyche, that this woman, along with a lot of other characters, male and female, none of them feel like they take the time to breathe, to allow the impact of what happens to them happen to them in order for them to move on. Like from her almost getting killed, getting stalked by the ex-wife, and then, Fawn's brother and mother trying to cause hell for Karen. We only see her try to move forward with Aaron without even asking the question, what's going on here? I mean, Zach at the time, was still trying to get with Karen, and he was the only one asking the questions of, how come you're never around when this shit happens? It's like you show up right after. You never show up during when, things are going wrong, Karen's life is on the line, and then all you can say is you're sorry. And then her mom called him out for the same thing. So I think when it comes to Andi's dream, unfortunately, we know that in the upcoming episode, Gary buys her that car, and she's going to keep it because there's the one scene where she's driving it with Karen. It's just one of those things where she's in bed with Robin, but her mind is somewhere else with Gary. But when you think of it that way, it's like, why did she wake up screaming? Was it guilt? What did she have to be afraid of? Is it just one of those things where she'll probably fear being with somebody else because in the back of her mind, Gary's still going to torment her? This is why we really need to get some backstory on the guy from college that abused her. Like, this could explain why Andi always runs away from guys who are basically safe. Because they're guys who who treat her right. But she'd rather be with somebody who abused her. So it's almost like she's been in the Gary web of the toxic relationship / affair for so long that she can't help but run back to him. And is it a weakness thing? Probably. We'll just have to wait and see how things play out when he's like, look, I want to fight for I want to do whatever I have to earn you back and yada, 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 which is bullcrap. But it's like, why do you want her so bad, man? I mean, you could have pretty much almost any woman you want to, yet you still want to stick with Andi, despite the fact that, to be honest, in part of season 2 and most of season 3, I'm like, Gary. I mean, Gary looked more of a positive, good character than Andi was. I mean, why? There's something going on here. So I think Andi's dream, while weak as a cliffhanger, thankfully it wasn't the only cliffhanger of the episode. I think it really just showcases that Gary's still on her mind, which makes sense because even though it wasn't a 3-year-long relationship like Karen and Zach, he still had an effect on her, and her just bed hopping around won't get rid of the feelings, hence why they see each other, they piss each other off. She jumps in bed with somebody else, next thing you know, she goes right back to Gary. So just keep that in mind, folks. If she does decide to keep the car, it's stupid as hell, but we've seen these two going back and forth at least 80 times at this point, so what's to be, expected is different. But I don't know if this debunks anything like, oh, maybe Gary and Robin aren't working together. And if she takes the car, which is stupid if she does, you're starting something with Robin. It's funny how she told Fatima, I want to take it slow with Robin. I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but it's interesting how you want to take things slow with Robin despite already sleeping with him once that, night before. And then even before that, a threesome. It's just like sex first, relationship second. I guess that's modern dating nowadays. I don't know. But we'll just have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think about Andi having that nightmare about Gary? Do you think it was weak in terms of building suspense? Maybe if the show waited longer than 2 weeks to come back, we would have something more to talk about in regards to it. I'm glad it wasn't like the haves and the have-nots where Wyatt, shot at his parents. And then it's like one of those things where we got to wait 6 months. And then it's like, wait, Jim isn't dead and Catherine didn't even get shot. So when it comes to Sistas, maybe that's another reason why the show came back so fast. Because it's like, yeah, that wasn't the best finale ending. So let's just come back and start off fresh. Because like I said, season 4, episode 1 felt like a fresh start. But in a very good way. But only time will tell. So let me know your thoughts on the dream. And as always, hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe as we close in on 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description box below. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And if you would like to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.